The most recent video I just watched made me feel like I was living in one of those fellas, is it gay type of posts. You know, the ones that are like, fellas, is it gay to have friends? Fellas, is it gay to like women because women can be feminine and men liking feminine things is gay? Fellas, is it gay to have sex with women because you could be touching where another man's has been? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? This whole video that I just watched had big fellas is it gay energy, although instead of fellas is it gay to do explicitly very straight thing, it was, hey ladies, do you think it's misogynistic to actively oppose the exploitation of women? What's up, my fellow small business supporters? It's Savvy, your gay aunt from the 80s, and today we are going to be taking a look at a video called Is Anti-MLM Anti-Women? Now, for those of you who don't know, Anti-MLM is the movement against multi-level marketing companies, or companies that can sometimes be classified as pyramid schemes, sometimes are more on the direct selling side of things, but either way often have manipulative and exploitative practices that sometimes target men, sometimes target women, but often target these groups of people in different ways. If you've been on my channel before, I have a playlist of over 50 videos about the anti-MLM movement, and over the course of this video, I'm going to be shouting out some other fantastic creators as well. You guys know that I'm really passionate about this movement because I'm a small business owner myself, and I feel that the world of multi-level marketing and these type of companies trying to infiltrate specifically women in business spaces has been making it more difficult for women to find the resources and the spaces to be able to safely and comfortably start up their own companies in a supportive environment. By the way, if you do want to have a group of supportive women in business, you can join my Women in Business Facebook group, which is linked in the description below. I've seen this video making the rounds a little bit recently. I'm going to be responding to it and giving my takes on it and sharing my arguments and my side of the story. Since the creator who made this video is a smaller creator, I'm not going to be shouting out his name. If later he says that he's comfortable with me using his name, I will. But I'm always a person who doesn't believe in punching down, so since this person is a smaller creator with under 1,000 subscribers, I want to engage with his arguments, but I'm not really in the mood to put a person on blast right now. I actually did reach out to him and ask if he wanted to have a debate. I thought we could have like a pro-MLM versus anti-MLM debate, but he told me that he's not actually completely pro-MLM, he just sees some benefits to it. So we're not having a debate for now, but I'm always open to the topic in the future. But without further ado, let's get into today's video.
Get you some nuts.
There was lots of memes.
Makes me wonder if I should pick up lesbianism.
Chicago. You guys asked for it.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, welcome for the first time. Please don't forget to subscribe. This is Savvy Writes Books, where every Monday and Friday at 11 a.m. Central, I put out new videos about my life as an author, small business owner, and a person who's a part of the anti-multi-level marketing movement. It all kind of goes together for me because I am an author and a small business owner. I run a company called Forever Home Friends, which produces children's books, plushies, merch, and other items based on real rescue dogs and their journeys to adoption. So as an author and a business owner, it's really important for me for women in business to have good resources available to them to keep craft fairs and creative spaces there for creative people who want to start up their own ethical businesses with ethical ways of either employing people or self-employing. I've had a lot of people recently tell me that they found my channel through the anti-MLM community and then stayed for writing videos and things like that, which I love. So if you guys are interested, every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Central, I host a live stream on this channel called The Writer Sleepover, where we get together, work on some writing, be productive, but also treat it like a sleepover party where we're just chilling and having fun. I hope you guys are able to come to that. I've been streaming like almost every day recently. I'm in the middle of a new series right now where my friend and I decided to live for a week at a time like various business gurus. This week we're living like Rachel Hollis. We just wrapped that up. Next week I think we're gonna live like either Grant Cardone or Tony Robbins, and then we're gonna keep doing that. So we're just trying out all these different business gurus routines. So 8 a.m. Central every morning, we're doing a morning live stream to wake everyone up and talk about what we did that morning to live like a business guru and see what pieces work and what pieces are bullshit. Speaking of bullshit, beautiful segue, Savvy. Actually though, before I do get into today's bullshit, I have a small business shout out that I want to do real quick. Today's small business shout out goes to Chiller Whale Fiber Art. That business card probably wasn't very clear. Their owner was super nice in sending me some, I don't know, would I call it fan art? Would I call it just a very sweet and kind and heartwarming gift? I'm gonna read you what she sent me in the mail. She sent me this super nice letter, and then I'm gonna save the reveal of what she made me until after I read the letter, because, guys, what she made me is so cool. Like, it's so cool, you're gonna flip out. It's so cool. The owner, whose name is Emily, sent me this letter that says, "Hi, Savvy. I hope this package gets to you safely. My business is Chiller Whale Fiber Art. I primarily sell embroidery kits for beginners, but I also sell finished artwork and take commissions for custom pet portraits. My website is chillerwhaleart.com, but right now I sell mainly through my Etsy store. Thanks for all the awesome work that you do to support small businesses and for making so many awesome and entertaining videos." Thank you so much, Emily, for sending this to me. Everyone, I have linked Emily's website for Chiller Whale Art and her Etsy shop in the description below. So if you like what I'm about to show you, please go check it out. And I can't see how you wouldn't love what I'm about to show you. Look at this. Look at this! Guys, she made me a custom embroidery of Chewy. It even has his name written in cursive right here. Just like, look how perfect he looks. I almost cried when I opened this. I was like, this is the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. Emily, thank you so much for this. Everyone needs to check out her store because her embroidery work is just so detailed, so beautiful, so fantastic. We love supporting women in business on this channel. Thank you so much. Chewy looks adorable here. I need to stop gushing so I can get back onto the video. Everyone check out Chiller Whale Art, linked in the description below. One other shout out to a smaller anti-MLM video creator named Fox and Compass. So Fox and Compass actually made a video about the same topic, disputing this guy's video that we're about to react to and discuss. And since she made a video about it first and hers is up, she did a great job kind of talking about it and sharing her perspective and giving her points. And she's kind of a newer creator who's a part of this community. So I wanted everyone to be aware of her channel if you're not already. She's linked in the description below as well. Now, let's take a look at this video called, "Is Anti-MLM Anti-Women?"
Is anti-multi-level marketing anti-women?
No.
Right now I'm going to touch on 3 different categories of anti-women stances I've seen touched on by the anti-MLM community, whether it be people in the comment section or content creators themselves. And those 3 categories are exploitation, predation, and degradation of women. Let's start with the exploitative side.
Okay, so from the beginning, I just want to summarize the argument we have from the beginning. From the beginning, he's saying that he has seen, misogynistic or anti-woman type behavior within the anti-MLM community. So that would be within the community of people like me and some of my friends who are fellow creators here who like to talk about why multi-level marketing companies, network marketing companies, pyramid scheme companies, why all of those types of businesses are unethical. He's talking about how within this movement of people to try to take down these predatory companies, he has seen in our fight for this, some of members of our community resorting to tactics about exploiting, degrading, and preying on women. So I like that he outlines his arguments clearly, that he gives us like a point by point. We're going to break this into 3 things. I will say from the start, because I've done a lot of responses to Classically Abby and people like that, I'm not really like a fan of people who don't clearly break down their argument. And while there are some things in the past, like even with Classically Abby, I've agreed with her on some things and disagreed with her on most things. The biggest problem I often have with trying to respond to her is that her points are never clear or organized. So at least from the start, I will say that I appreciate he's laying out where we're going. Now, I'm hoping that he's going to go into some specific points from here and give very specific examples of what he's seen with each thing. And if he does, then we can talk about those and engage with those ideas. So first, it looks like we're going to go into ways that he has seen people within my community exploiting women. And if anyone is, I want to know about it so I can stop it. So please tell us, how are women being exploited?
Side of anti-MLM. So a common argument against multi-level marketing is that those in the top ranks of these companies are making money off the backs of those in the bottom ranks. Now, oftentimes the people in the bottom levels of these companies, which are female dominated, are often given the label of victim in the anti-MLM world.
Okay, so a couple things with this statement itself. I like his approach to it. However, I don't fully agree with this statement on the surface. I don't think this is completely true. First, multi-level marketing companies as a whole are not necessarily female dominated. A lot of product-based MLMs tend to be female dominated. However, a lot of idea-based MLMs, such as Forex, foreign currency trading multi-level marketing companies, certain MLM schemes that have gotten into the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency world tend to be very male dominated. A lot of real estate based ones, or ones based on selling insurance or selling legal advice, or there's like Legal Shield and Primerica, and a bunch of those tend to prey upon men. In fact, I'm just reading the book Ponzi-nomics right now, and I'm going to be filming a review of that really soon, which I'm excited for. That book talks about original MLM companies, which were really targeted at men and men's desires to make a lot of money and to try to provide for their families, but it exploited them in a way that caused them to lose a lot of money. So both men and women are targeted in MLMs, and they're targeted in a lot of different ways. I say both men and women because I don't actually think MLMs target non-binary people that much. I don't think they do. And if you are a non-binary person who's been targeted by an MLM, please correct me. But I think it tends to be very much in the heteronormative gendered space that we see a lot of MLMs targeting people the most. And that's not to say someone else's experience might not be different, but I seem to, because they're very prevalent in communities with a more, old-fashioned conservative style, like the Mormon community and things like that, which is a whole other topic to go into. Because of this type of cisgender heteronormative way that MLMs often try to approach people, we often see men and women targeted in different ways. So we see men targeted in a way where it's like, the whole Rich Dad, Poor Dad books by business gurus like Tony Robbins and Grant Cardone, the whole don't you want to be hyper successful? If you're not at the absolute top, you're selling your family short. Don't you want to provide more for your kids? Don't you want to be that successful millionaire? It targets the cultural narrative that we're sold that men should be financial providers and should be economically successful in order to be successful as men. It targets that type of gendered narrative. With women, it targets the narrative of don't you want to work from home? Don't you want to stay home with your kids? If your family can't survive off of a single family income, don't you want to provide that for your kids? But you don't want to have to go into work, because if you don't stay home with your kids, then we're gonna mom guilt you all day long, right? So we see that, and because of that, a lot of the product-based MLMs, such as the ones where people are selling makeup or skincare products or clothes or leggings or things like that, those tend to target women more often. So I was just gonna say right there that I don't think MLMs are exclusively female dominated. They're just approached in different ways, but both ways are actually very exploitative in my opinion. When he also makes the point about how a lot of us claim that the people at the top of MLMs are exploiting the women at the bottom, I think the majority of us, and I know that I personally do this and a lot of other creators I see that do this as well, it's not the uplines that we're usually talking about as being exploitative. It's the very top. It's the CEOs. And CEOs of MLM companies are overwhelmingly male, even within female-dominated companies. Even when you look at a company like Unique, which is a makeup MLM, which is almost exclusively represented by female consultants, the CEO of that company is male. And it's the CEOs that we often have the biggest problems with, because these are the people who are sitting at the very top of the pyramid. So I would say, in my personal experience, it's often the CEOs who are the most exploitative, and regardless, even if there are women towards the top who we would criticize, which I have criticized someone like Lindsay Teague Moreno, who was not the CEO of Young Living, but she was towards the top, right, and had a 100,000 member downline. I've done a couple videos on her I can link up in the cards. In her example, I did criticize someone who was an upline. And the reason I would say that is there does come to be a point where someone is successful to the extent of exploiting other people. And if I criticize that person, them being a woman or being a man isn't really relevant in this case, because I'm criticizing their actions. So I don't think it's misogynistic to criticize any woman, but I want to see what he says next. But that was my initial response to, I don't feel that that's entirely valid.
And I believe the anti-MLM world and that whole movement is also making money off the backs of these same so-called victims. Now you may be saying, well, some people in the community don't monetize their anti-MLM stance, either as content creators or viewers or commenters. However, building a social media following of any size has a value in today's society, and I've seen some.
I agree with the point that building a social media following has value even if you don't monetize your videos. For example, part of my agreement with this point comes from the fact that, you know, when I first started my YouTube channel, my channel didn't qualify to be monetized for the first full year that I made videos. But during that year, I was very active in the online book community, and because of that, my books started selling better because I was able to connect with a wider audience of readers, even though I didn't have my channel monetized yet, so I made more book sales. So yes, social media and the concept of content marketing is a part of all of this. Not all the time. Some people literally just use their social media to connect with friends and family, or just use YouTube as a way to store video files or to put them on a server. Like, not everything is a part of a branding experience, but I do agree with the point that even if your channel's not monetized, you could still be profiting in some way. That does make sense. However, I don't think that we necessarily profit off of the backs of victims within these companies. I say time and time again on my channel that I don't blame anyone who is a victim of one of these companies. Even in, like, I did like when I reacted to a Beachbody call, I blocked out everyone's face, even the face of the person who was at the top of the upline there who was being actually very exploitative of other people. I was like, you know, I'm gonna block out their face because these people are all victims to an extent. So, and even though I know there's been some discourse about whether people need to block out other people's faces or not, and that's not something I feel qualified to judge what is the right or the wrong way to do it. But I will just say that I don't think a lot of us want to exploit these victims. We want to educate people about what they've been going through. I would recommend my friend Monica Hayworth. I've done a lot of collaborations with her, and I'll link her channel in the description below. She did a fantastic video about how she is not anti-Hunbot, right? She is not anti the actual MLM reps. She is against the structure and things like that. So often we're calling out the CEOs. Often we're calling out the concept of the structure itself. We're calling out people like Eric Worre and people like Ray Higdon and people like Tim Sales, who are trying to profit off of getting people invested in these companies and needing training and things like that. So it really is the system and the people who exploit the system, the people who get roped into it. I don't think we're exploiting. Just because you make money off of the criticism of something doesn't necessarily mean that you exploited that thing. Like, if I was putting these women on blast, like if I had a woman who was in an MLM and I put her face in the video and was like, this is this woman, here is her social media handle, you guys should make fun of her, and I'm gonna rake in the ad money. Like, yeah, that would be exploitative, but I don't know anyone in this community who does anything like that. In fact, we pretty much always give a disclaimer of not to send hate, and that we do not believe that these people deserve hate, and that one of the things I absolutely love about this community is that when somebody is ready to leave an MLM and has seen that this company is, you know, siphoning all their money away from them, and they reach out to someone within our community, we will welcome them with open arms. Again, my friend Monica, she has a Facebook group for this, which is one of the kindest and most welcoming environments. There's people all the time who will post in there and say, you know, I just chose to leave Beachbody yesterday, and it's like a weight's been lifted off my shoulders, and I'm feeling so much guilt for the things I did while in this company. And pretty much everyone is immediately like, I'm so glad you were able to get out. We're here to talk about it. We understand that you might have done things you weren't proud of, because there is that cult-like social pressure. So that's kind of what I see about this. I don't see this as us making fun of people to exploit them. But if you have examples of specific videos where you've seen that, I would love to see those examples. I'm comfortable even calling out when I see someone going about something in a way I don't agree with. Because, you know, I'm not always an ends justifies the means kind of person. I think that there are kind ways to go about things, and then there are rude ways to go about things. So I've seen creators before. Every once in a while I've seen a creator where I agree with their topic, but the way they addressed it I found to be unproductive or something. And I'm comfortable saying that, because within our community, we're always open to different viewpoints and things like that. I mean, the fact that I'm watching and engaging with this video in good faith should be evidence of that alone. The fact that I'm willing to say when I agree with certain points he's making.
Anti-MLM creators point out in early stages of their content creation that they don't make money off their videos, and then I later see them have ads on their video when I revisit their pages. So this to me supports what a recent article on this whole industry has said, which is that basically anti-MLM, the label, is now being exploited to build personal brands online rather than be that educational movement that it started out at.
Okay, two things about this. First of all, YouTube recently made a change where YouTube can choose to play ads on your videos as a system, even if your channel isn't monetized. So every once in a while, you will come across a channel that has ads playing on it, and the creator is not earning anything from that. YouTube just made that choice. I think it's shitty of YouTube that they did that, but, you know, the inner workings of big tech companies and their exploitative practices is another topic for another day. We gotta focus the scope of this argument or we'll be here all day long. Just because you're able to profit off of something doesn't mean the work you're doing regarding that is any less valuable. So, for example, if I profit off of making an anti-MLM video, that doesn't mean that my intention with making the video wasn't genuine, and that you can have a goal to educate people. But y'all, we're living under capitalism regardless. If you can make money doing something and you have to pay your bills when we're in a fucking pandemic, like, I don't see why you would turn down taking the ad revenue. I think that's a really weird thing to say. I see this argument on artist and writer Twitter all the time, the idea that, like, if you make money off of the art, then the art is less real, or the art is somehow, like, tainted by selling out to the man, and I think that's stupid. I write books and I sell them for money. Does the fact that I wrote a book and I sold it to someone mean that I didn't actually deeply care about the story? No. Does the fact that, like, I sell Forever Home Friends, and yeah, we donate part of our profits to animal shelters, but, you know, my books and plushies, I sell them for money. Does that mean that I don't genuinely care about the animals just because I don't donate 100% of everything to the shelter, and because I do want to make some money for my work so I can sustain my livelihood on it? Like, no. That doesn't negate the good that you're doing just because you are making money. And in fact, if you weren't making money, you would probably have to be working other jobs that you care less about on top of it, with less time to devote to the education and the thing that you care the most about. So when I make money off of anti-MLM videos, that doesn't mean that my main goal isn't still education and isn't still ending the exploitation of women in business. That still is my goal. If I can make money off of it, that just means I can spend more time doing it instead of spending more time picking up 1,500 freelance jobs to cover up where that income would have been. Hope that makes sense, but I think that's almost like a philosophical difference where some people have a worldview that profiting off of something automatically makes it less valid or something like that, and I say fuck that, pay your artists. Let's continue.
On the flip side, when I see people celebrating someone, a lot of times a woman, technically working for free, especially in the anti-MLM world, meaning they may be building a valuable following online, but it's not monetized to the point where they can pay their bills with the revenue from that following. So to me, that is actually an anti-woman stance, because you are celebrating a woman working for free.
I'm confused about this point. This is like negating itself, because you had established that your stance was, if you are profiting off of something, it means that your goal is profit rather than education, which I disagree with, but that seemed to be the point you were making. But then you just said, if you do the thing for free and other people celebrate that, meaning other people would probably have the stance you have, which is that they truly care only about education because they don't need to make money off it, which again, I don't agree with. I'm just trying to see this from your side. But you're saying that that is anti-woman. Like, how do you not be anti-woman in this case? If you are against the MLM business model and you make a video about it and you make money off of the video, you're saying that's anti-woman because you're showing that your motive is profit rather than education. But if you don't make money off of it, then you're a woman willing to work for free, and that's anti-woman. Like, how can you win in this case? I feel like this is kind of, you're trying to trap someone. And maybe that wasn't intentional. Maybe this is just actually how you feel and you didn't realize that it was a contradiction. But if I'm misinterpreting this point, I'm really going to need it rephrased for me, because right now this seems to directly contradict itself, and I feel like there's no way out.
Something often criticized in the anti-MLM community in regards to the time it takes to make a profit, if ever, in multi-level marketing. Also, this is contradictory to a lot of the conversations around women working for free in general. Now, the exploitation is very apparent when these quote-unquote horror stories are used to scare people who are anti-MLM from going to the middle on this topic. To me, it is anti-woman to scare a community of mostly women into not making certain decisions for themselves and using examples of people going from anti-MLM to MLM to keep people on your side.
Okay, I feel like I again need more clarification on this point. I think I need you to explain to me what in your mind constitutes pro-MLM, what constitutes anti-MLM, and what constitutes the middle. Because you mentioned this idea of like going to the middle from being on the anti-MLM side. What do you mean by going to the middle? As in like ambivalence, as in like not caring about this world at all? I would say that's probably most people. The majority of people I talk to were unaware of the existence of multi-level marketing companies, especially in the city. I feel like in the city they're not as prevalent, except if you're a city person who goes to craft fairs. Not in the pandemic, y'all. So I'm a little confused on that point and what you mean by going more towards the middle. I want to engage with this point, but I don't fully understand. Like you say that scaring them might be scaring them away from moving more towards the middle. Who is trying to move them towards the middle? Is it you? Is it an MLM rep? Is it someone in their family? Like, who's trying to move them towards the middle, and what would that middle ground look like? I don't really know, and so I don't feel comfortable arguing against a point that I don't fully understand. So if you're watching, the dude who made this video, if you're watching this video, feel free to let me know your thoughts on this, or to respond back to me, like any of that's fine. But I want to understand that point better before I could reply to it. The other thing is this idea of scare tactics. The way I see a good argument is with a combination of, right, ethos, pathos, and logos, right? Ethos, like establishing your credibility. Pathos is like an appeal to emotion, appeal to the human side of something, and then logos, which is appeal to logic and facts and things like that. You need a combination of those things, in my opinion, to make a compelling argument. And just because you take a position on something or you make an argument about something doesn't mean that your position on that thing is automatically biased, because to an extent we all have positions on things, and if we're engaging with them openly, then that is a good thing. I think that the most compelling arguments are the ones that use human examples, because humans are storytelling people. Humans connect with one another emotionally. We're not just mathematical robots. So you want that connection, but I don't think a good argument can rely on that connection alone. You also want to have some evidence. You also want to have some statistics or some numbers to back it up, but you want those to connect in a way that's logical and that makes sense. When you have the combination of those things, you often have the recipe for a strong argument to present to someone. Now, someone on the opposite side could have an argument that has both of those things from a different perspective, and that's where we get debates, which is something I absolutely love and think is wonderful. Sorry, I'm kind of a debate lord, bro. I know that Ben Shapiro hit me up. But I don't see how it's exploitative to use both emotion and logic, because I often see it, right? It's a combination of people saying, here's some MLM horror stories, here's some stories of women who lost their marriage or lost their friends or, alienated their friends and family because of a cult-like influence on them. Now, that's the emotional connection. However, how can we know that this will always happen? Well, let's take a look at some statistics. Let's take a look at the percentages of people who fail. Let's look at income disclosures. Let's look at things like that. And then let's combine those things, right? We take a look at all of that together. So I don't see how that is exploitative. Again, I think the point he's trying to make is that women trying to use scare tactics on other women to bring them to their side is exploitative. However, I don't think it's scare tactics. I think it is telling an uncomfortable truth. I don't know, what would you consider not a scare tactic? Because these things are real and these things do happen. Telling people about real lived experiences is not a scare tactic. It's telling people the truth. There are things in life that are going to be harsh and uncomfortable truths about the evils in the world, and we need to talk about those. But I'm interested in hearing more of your side.
Because to me, it shows a weakness in the anti-argument. If your side has such strong standing on what you believe, how can someone leave for the thing that you criticize and are so strongly against, and also be framed as this person who left and almost took down an entire movement? Also, turning people's pain into entertainment, in my opinion, is exploitative, because a lot of what I've seen is content that starts out educational and then it turns into entertainment once that one point is made in one video, and then it starts coming up over and over and over again in dozens of videos with the same points being made for the same group of people over and over again. And to me, this mimics cult-like behavior, which...
Okay, before we get into the cult thing, I want to address what is the difference, so there's education and there's entertainment. those two things serve different purposes for the audience, right? You know, we have, like, as a writer, in the writer world, we talk about identifying your purpose and your audience for your piece of writing. That should be kind of the first thing that you do when you start to write something, because otherwise, you know, that's going to kind of frame the tone that the whole thing takes, what information the thing can explain to what person, what background is needed, all of that. So you define purpose and you define audience. So when we talk about purpose and audience, generally education, entertainment, and persuasion tend to be three of the large purposes that people tend to write things or talk about things or publish articles or have discussions. Those tend to be some of the main purposes of why people say what they say. Education, entertainment, and persuasion are different things that serve different purposes. They often work together. For example, when someone is making an argument, you might want your argument to be educational. You want to include statistics, you want to include facts, you want to include sources, and you want to include some research and some evidence and have it there so people know that you're not just pulling it out of your ass. You want to have that, but you also want to have an entertainment value. You also want to have something that makes a person interested in listening to you. If you're just saying facts out of your mouth like a robot, that's just not something that appeals to humans all the time. A lot of times we want to, you know, make connections with people. Then the persuasion element can come in when you make clear what your stance is and you use those educational facts to support that, and then you use that entertainment to get people interested in the first place. I don't think something being entertaining automatically makes it not educational. For example, the Magic School Bus. What were some educational shows you watched as a kid that were entertaining? Mythbusters, right? That's entertainment and education at the same time. And there's a lot of things like that out there where you want to make it fun and interesting for someone. Forever Home Friends by Savvy from Savvy Writes Books. My series of books, I tried to make it educational and entertaining. It's cute dogs, but they're going to introduce you to various issues about animal adoption and also parallel issues that people go through emotionally and things like that. My book, Savvy Business Owner, I talked in a casual voice and told funny stories from my time on YouTube and from weird things I've encountered as a business owner, but I've also talked about what I've learned along the way and tried to educate people about some things you might want to know when starting a business. Education and entertainment combined. I should stop plugging my books, but my point is, just because something becomes entertaining doesn't mean it loses its educational value. So I don't understand what that's supposed to mean either.
Which I will touch on in a future video regarding MLMs and the anti-MLM stance. Now, in regards to
so we're not going to really go into the cult point here. Okay, I won't spend too much time on the point about the cult idea then, because he said he's going to go into it in a future video, and I would rather respond to it when he's going to go into it more in depth, because you guys know how much I hate the straw man. I don't want to respond to a point ever that someone didn't actually say. I don't like when people straw man my arguments, so I don't want to do it to someone else if I can avoid it. So I'm not going to go too deep into that. What I will say, though, is that within this community, I've seen a lot of really diverse ranges of perspectives, you know, of people who are all for the same cause but think we should go about it in different ways, of people who are for the same cause but see different things as more of a threat than other things. I've even seen, you know, such a difference where it's like you have capitalist anti-MLMers and socialist anti-MLMers, and it's a completely different, like, the goal is still to have these companies crumble, whether by free market itself and discouraging people emotionally from joining them, or by trying to get government regulations against them and then trying to get social safety nets to protect people. But my point is that those are two completely different worldviews that still have the same goal of wanting to see these companies fail because of an inherent exploitation of the workers. So we're on point 2 now. We talked about how he believes that the anti-MLM community is exploitative of women. Now let's see how he thinks that it's predatory
behavior. Another criticism of multi-level marketing, or as some call it network marketing, is the appearance of preying on people's vulnerabilities or pain points to market the product or business opportunity.
Sure.
Now, some of those pain points are often a desire for purpose or income or a community. So in my opinion, the anti-MLM stance preys on people's ignorance by showing only the bad stories and unethical business practices, when in reality there are also good stories and ethical business practices in these companies. Because if you look for the good, you will find the good. If you look for the bad, you will find the bad.
Okay, this is an interesting point. So I think I'm going to try to summarize this point. I think what he's saying here is that I feel like calling it predatory is not totally accurate, because I feel like the point he's making here is more about bias rather than predation. But either way, I'll try to give it the benefit of the doubt. I think he's saying that a lot of people in the anti-MLM world are showing only one side of the story. They're not showing stories of people who have had success in MLMs. They're not showing what good it can do. And I actually disagree with this. I think one thing that is cool about our community, like I was just saying, because we have such a diverse range of perspectives and a diverse range of people, and a lot of people from different backgrounds and who have either participated in MLMs in different ways or had people in their life participate in them in different ways, I don't think they've only shown the bad. I would like to point everyone to, I think, one of the greatest channels, not just in this community, but on YouTube in general, and that is a channel called Not the Good Girl. I will link it in the description below. This is a channel run by a woman named Josie, who not only was a part of an MLM, but was at the very top. She had rose in the ranks, and she was actually making a ton of money. So she's an example of someone who wasn't going into extreme debt, who was profiting off of the system. And because of that, she had a unique perspective of the good side of what could benefit a person. However, after seeing it from the inside, she also decided that these companies were exploitative at their core and non-sustainable. And to an extent, it is just like, at a point, certain companies are just non-sustainable mathematically. I'm going to get into this a lot more when I do my Ponzi-nomics review, because in that book, there's a lot of specific examples that break it down mathematically. So when she was, realizing that, she was like, I need to get out of this. I need to educate people on why it was bad. But she's not only saying, she isn't lying and saying she lost a bunch of money. She specifically says that she made a lot of money, that she was a profitable person, that she had success in that company, but still as a result found it to be predatory and unethical. So I would highly recommend watching some of the videos on her channel for anyone out there. If you haven't already, you probably have. She's way bigger than I am, but she's a fantastic creator. And I think she does do a good job of showing a side. We often see the side of people, because it is the vast majority of people in MLMs. We see people who have left after losing money or who have left after being in the bottom ranks, but we don't often see someone who left after making a lot of money and being in the top ranks, and she is here to give that perspective. So even with that perspective, she is showing some different sides of this issue. So no, it isn't only one side. Everyone kind of shows a variety of things. You just have to watch a variety of different content, because that's how educating yourself on any topic works. And then when it comes to being predatory, that's why I said I would understand this point more if you were saying it was biased rather than predatory, even though I disagree that it's biased based on the example I gave of Josie just a minute ago. But when you're saying it's predatory, generally preying on something has an end goal, such as trying to make money off of someone or trying to profit. So what is the end goal in the sense here? You're trying to prey on people's ignorance to do what? What are you trying to prey on their ignorance to get them to do? And I know you mentioned to get them to come to your side, but to get them to come to your side, why? Why do we want people on our side? Like in an MLM, it's clear why people want others to be on their side. It's so that they can recruit them into the company, or they can sell a product to them. There's a clear financial incentive there. But in the anti-MLM community, what, in your opinion, or the opinion of anyone watching this, what would be the incentive for wanting people to come to your side, other than that we just want to take these companies down because we know they're hurting people? It's a genuine intention. But if you have a different perspective, again, please let me know.
And in the anti-MLM argument's case, preying on people's bad experiences is a way to get and keep people in the quote-unquote anti-mindset that only exists because of the MLMs and the results that they produce, which scares people into expressing any other viewpoint besides the anti-MLM viewpoint. Okay,
I'm going to need an example of that, because, again, just evidenced by the fact that I'm listening to you right now sharing a different viewpoint, and I'm not, this dude who's making a video, I'm not judging him. I don't think he's a bad guy. I don't think he's, a terrible dude or anything. I just disagree with him, so I'm sharing my thoughts. So I don't mind people sharing other viewpoints. Again, I've made so many videos where I've talked about how even though one of my goals is to get MLM companies completely out of craft fairs and small business expos and things like that, that doesn't mean that I haven't been willing to listen to the people who have been stationed at tables near me and those things in the past. I've actually made a lot of good connections and gotten to know people and found them to be very kind and wonderful people. But just based on the economics of how the companies work, I still don't think that they're a sustainable or ethical company. So I just don't think what you're saying here is true. If you watch the video that I made with the anti-bot, where it was at the end of 2020, and she and I got in the comment war with Tim Sales, I was very honored when Tiana List said she thought that was one of, like, the most iconic moments of the movement. I was so flattered. But we got in this comment section war with Tim Sales, and in that case, in one point, we actually told Tim that we agreed with him on something. So Tim, like, for example, Tim was talking about how he thinks it's not effective that so many anti-MLM creators will often say that the FTC, that it was an FTC study or FTC government findings that declared that 99.7% of people lose money in an MLM. He said, it's not effective when you guys do that because the FTC didn't do that study. He did whatever. Tim made that point to us and said it was independent research done by John M. Taylor. Now, Tim has his own viewpoints about John M. Taylor being bitter or what John Taylor's reasons were. John Taylor's research, in my opinion, and in a lot of people's opinions, including mathematical statisticians, John M. Taylor's research is valid and does mathematically check out. Both me and Taylor from the Anti-Bot said directly out loud in that video, Tim made a good point here. It would be more useful for our movement. It would be more useful, for finding the truth if we stated outright, this is not official FTC research. This was independent research done by a man named John M. Taylor. And we also brought up the point that something being independent research versus being government-sanctioned research, if the research is true or not, neither way has any bearing on whether or not it's true. That's an ad hominem argument, right? It's arguing more about who made it rather than what the actual point is. If the research is true, it's true. So independent research is true as well, in addition to what government research can be. But my point behind that entire statement was to say that we're not like, you can't express any other viewpoint, no one's allowed to say anything else. We, in a video, publicly said, Tim, you as someone we normally disagree with, are right about this, and we are going to change how we talk about this as a result. That's one example I can think of for that, but there are a million more as well. Examples of times when someone has expressed a viewpoint that we've said, you know what, that's actually true. It's all about keeping your mind open and staying skeptical of everything around you and exercising critical thinking at every juncture. So, no, I'm not closed-minded to people having different viewpoints. Dude who made this video, I'm listening to you tell me about it right now. We're all good. We're all good. Let's continue.
Recently, we've seen an example of what happens when someone is on the outs with the anti-MLM community, especially when they leave after being a part of that anti-MLM community, which brings me to the degradation of women point that I've seen displayed in the anti-MLM community. Let's start with just education in general. So for a community that says it is about educating people on what happens in MLMs to prevent people from joining and using unethical business practices within them, it sure is interesting to see a person on the outs education history being discredited. If you were pro-women empowerment, wouldn't you be celebrating a woman trying to better herself? And why is it okay to put a woman down because she's doing something a little bit...
Are you talking about Kimberlea here? Like, I need you to be specific. I don't know, every time I brought up a person, whether I agree or disagree with them, I've been pretty specific. I think that's important. Like, if you're gonna make an argument, like, I feel like you had to know that this video was gonna be controversial when you put it out. It's more useful for you and giving your arguments credit, as well as making it easy for other people to engage in a good faith discussion, if you are specific about what you're talking about. I think you mean Kimberlea here, though. So if I'm right about that, I will talk about this point a little bit. When people were mad at Kimberlea, nobody was mad at her for trying to better herself. I would even go so far as to say that's a straw man. Like, I feel like that is a made-up argument that she had, maybe? I don't know. She blocked me on Instagram. She blocked everyone in the anti-MLM community on Instagram, so I don't know what she's been saying. The reason people were upset with her had nothing to do with her wanting to change her goals, her wanting to change her career, her wanting to better herself. We've all said a million times, because originally when she wanted to leave this community, it was because, like she said, she wanted to do more true crime content or something, and everyone was like, hey, yeah, we'll be excited to see your true crime videos when they come out and things like that. But then when she turned around and mischaracterized our movement as something it wasn't, and then joined an MLM herself, the reason people were upset is that a lot of people spent money on her memberships, and she basically admitted that she was doing it exclusively for profit at that time. You know how at the beginning of the video we talked about how profiting off of something doesn't automatically mean your intentions weren't genuine? She basically admitted that she was doing it for the sake of profit. And a lot of people felt swindled when they had spent money on something, and it wasn't just the fact that she had left the community, it was the fact that she was often making promises that she wasn't delivering on. I'm gonna shout someone out again. I highly recommend the video by Cruel World Happy Mind. I will link it in the description below, but she did a video recently where she interviewed someone who had taken one of Kimberlea's courses and wasn't provided the value that she thought she'd have. So when she ended up joining an MLM, it made people feel like she had never actually had her viewers' best interest in mind. She was comfortable taking money from people. But then, and again, she's welcome to change her mind. She's welcome to join whatever company she wants if she wants to. That is her personal choice. But a lot of people felt that they had been lied to when she basically admitted that all along that was her goal. And we were also upset with her mischaracterizing the movement. If she had said, I want to leave this movement because I don't want to make this content anymore, it's just not interesting to me, nobody would have had a problem with that. It was her kind of, again, doing the straw man and making up things about how she thought this movement was toxic, bringing up examples of things that literally just didn't happen. Again, I'm not going to spend forever going into this because Cruel World Happy Mind has all the actual evidence and receipts, so cite your sources, y'all. She's linked in the description below. But no one was ever upset that she was trying to better herself. No one was ever upset that she wanted to change her course or her direction in business. People were upset that she basically victim blamed a bunch of people for things that went wrong to them and treated everyone with a lot of disrespect.
Different than maybe you would do it. On a similar note, a video came out recently on the situation surrounding this person that is now on the outs with the community, in which there was criticism of her claiming to have expertise in multiple areas.
Oh, I think he's talking about Madison's
Now,
video
to me,
now.
this is the opposite of empowering women as well,
Why?
because I thought the modern woman was supposed to be able to do it all if they choose, and that was supposed to be celebrated.
What?
So in my opinion, degrading a woman for confidence in her competence in multiple areas is not progressive. It is actually regressive. One point I actually agree on with MLMs that is talked about in the anti-MLM community is the seemingly overpriced products and distributors not being able to set their own prices of the products they sell.
Okay, yeah, okay, dude, here's some common ground we got. We agree on this, right? Business owners should be able to set their own prices. Anyway, continue. Sorry, I just had to stop that because I kind of love it when, like, if there's someone who I'm responding to their video because I disagree with them, I love it when there's a moment when we agree.
When someone left the community for an MLM, then created a supplemental product in which she could set the price herself, she was and still is being heavily criticized and labeled a quote-unquote scammer.
Okay, okay, I think I see what he's saying here. He's saying that people, because this was the point I was just making, that the reason people were mad at Kimberleigh was that she had, she was selling people on business courses, she was selling people on channel memberships and things like that, and then later admitted that she actually had no expertise in that topic, and that's why people felt scammed. And also because she didn't really deliver. So there was that. And then he's saying that because a lot of us criticize that an MLM isn't really your small business, it isn't your own company, it isn't something where you can set the prices and do it yourself, that it seems hypocritical of us to then turn around and criticize her actual business. So I see what you're saying, but this also doesn't make sense. Squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares. All MLMs are predatory companies, but not all predatory companies are MLMs, right? There are predatory companies. People could start their own business without any MLM model, with just I sell you something, you give me money for it, free market in action. It could still be predatory if the thing I'm selling you doesn't have the value I deliver. Just because that wasn't part of an MLM and just because she was able to set her own prices on that and all of that, that doesn't mean it also wasn't scammy. You can scam outside of an MLM too. This community is very supportive of women in business. Again, check out the Women in Business Facebook group. I have linked in the description below. Join, ask questions. You don't even have to be a woman to join. You can be anybody as long as you want to celebrate and uplift women in business. That's all that matters. But if you do try to scam people or try to sell something that you're not qualified to do, like for example, I criticize Tony Robbins all the time. And Tony Robbins, when he hosts his conferences, that's not an MLM. That's a thing that he sets his own prices for. That's a thing that he sells to people who want to buy it. However, during those conferences, he's often using cult-type manipulation tactics. He's often practicing therapy on people and behavioral therapy techniques on people without a license. So I still find that to be scammy and manipulative and to be an unethical business.
So how can you say you are pro-women empowerment, then bash a woman for charging what she feels she is worth? Especially when someone...
You can criticize women and also be pro-women. I don't understand this argument. You can criticize anybody. A perfect example. There's someone within the... I did a stream last week about this. And this dude and I actually are going to debate. We have a debate scheduled because due to the storms and power outages, we've had to postpone it. But we're getting ready to do it, hopefully next week. He and I are both part of the anti-MLM community. I think that he's been, very hurtful to people. He wants to share his side. We want to talk about it. And because I'm an open-minded person, like I said, who wants to hear everybody's side of the story and wants to hear people's genuine arguments, we're going to talk about it. So it's kind of like I'm an anti-MLMer, but I'm comfortable criticizing other anti-MLMers. I'm still a huge supporter of this movement. You can be a feminist and still criticize other women at the same time. No group of people exists as a monolith. In fact, I would say it would be sexist to act like women are exempt from criticism, because that would be to assume that women are not strong enough to handle it. Let's continue.
In the anti-MLM community, maybe more than one at this point, are trying to do the same thing regarding some social media training and influencer training. That to me is not women supporting women. But I'm sure there will be some people still trying to justify this behavior somehow. But at the end of the day, I know, and I know a lot of people are finally waking up to this, that it's becoming clear that the quote-unquote pro-women, women supporting women, whatever you want to call it, movement is actually being weaponized by many as a means to an end for...
To what end? And this is what I'm confused about. What is the end? Because we can, it's easy to explain how when you're trying to pitch an MLM company and exploit the women, we talk about all the time, how the movement of feminism and women supporting women gets exploited by MLM companies because it's taking this idea of if a woman is selling something, you should always be supporting her no matter what. It's exploiting that idea to get people roped into companies which are usually run by a male CEO at the top. And that doesn't even matter. But my point is, men are the ones who tend to be profiting the most from this. So I'm really confused here because that's clear. But then you're saying that our movement is exploiting the feminist movement. For what purpose? To get people to agree with us? To get people to agree with us, why? Is it because of building a social media brand that will be profitable? But you also said that if we're building a social media brand that will be profitable, but we're not charging people to watch our videos, then I'm a little lost at this point. But my point overall is that women can criticize other women and still want to empower women. People in the anti-MLM movement can criticize the tactics and rhetoric of other people within the anti-MLM movement and still care about taking down all multi-level marketing companies.
Total authority over people. And in my opinion, this is being shown in the recent behavior of the anti-MLM community. So I look forward to seeing your comments in the comment section below. And if you want more multi-level marketing MLM related content, make sure to tap or click the screen next to me.
Okay, so this is pretty much the end of the video. I will say, one thing I do appreciate about this guy is that when he says he looks forward to seeing our comments, he genuinely means that. I know a lot of people that say, comment your thoughts below, tell me what you really think, if you agree, disagree, but they're just doing that to drive engagement, and then when they get disagreement comments, they either delete them or ignore them. I appreciate that this person engages with them, that when people are commenting their disagreement, he responds to the comment, he thanks the person for sharing their perspective. I like to see that. I like to see someone who opens up discussion. I know some people have said they found that style annoying. I personally really like it because that's how I am too when people disagree with me in the comments. And I know I've gotten a few comments disagreeing with me lately that I haven't responded to yet, and it's just because I'm behind on responding to comments because I get a comment backlog, then my computer freezes up. Guys, I'll get to it. I'm so sorry. I'm making excuses. Girl, stop apologizing. So this was just to give him a compliment and say I do appreciate that style of engagement that he's doing. So after watching that video, the question remains, is the anti-MLM movement anti-women? No. Fellas, is it gay to wash your ass? No. Bro, wash your ass. Girl, wash your face. I shouldn't say that. I never wash my face. I started learning how to do makeup the other day, and I was like, you know what? If I learn how to do makeup, I won't randomly fall asleep in the middle of the day, because you're not supposed to sleep with all this glitter on your eyes, and you know what? I still don't wash my face! Anyway, I should really just stop. I should stop memeing, because I have work to do. That's gonna be the title of my memoir. Stop memeing, you have work to do. I will see you guys all again on Sunday. I'll be streaming at 11 a.m. Central, or maybe I'll even see you tomorrow. I don't know. I kind of want to do a live stream playing The Sims and making my book characters like characters from books that I'm writing in The Sims, and maybe I'll stream that on Twitch. I don't know. Still deciding. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you want to see more response videos like this? I'm going to keep filming some things. And then next week, I'm going to continue with the Business Guru Week in the Life series. So you're going to see me live like some other people. I am not looking forward to living like Tony Robbins, because he spends every morning on a 15-minute torture machine, then goes into the hot sauna, and then steps into the freezing cold and only sleeps for 3 hours a night. Some of these business gurus are wild. I don't know what to make of them. How are you so successful in business when your body is aching all day long? That's what I don't get. Anyway, I'll see you guys again soon, but in the meantime, please don't forget to support small businesses. Don't forget to support women in business. Tell a woman in business today that you love her and appreciate what she's doing. I'll see you guys then. Happy Friday, friends.
Get you some nuts.
There was lots of memes.
Makes me wonder if I should take up lesbianism.
Chicago. You guys asked for it.